All right, Potters. Um, this is gonna be interesting. This is my first video ever. I've made a couple of shorts on YouTube with like 10, 20, 30 views. Mainly, I'm doing it for myself. I will talk myself through this. I don't claim to know everything. In fact, I think I know nothing. But today we're gonna look at how I do handles. It may be a little out of sequence. This is the very first video I decided to make. I've been thinking about it for a while, but it just never came together, and one has to start somewhere. So we got a couple of mugs here. I got a couple of 4 mugs that are trimmed, and a couple of 4 handles, and we're gonna take a look at how Lou does handles. Did I introduce myself? My name is Lou. I am one of the members of HT Pottery Studio here in Seattle, Washington. And we're gonna take a look at what setup I have here and how I learned on my own from scratch with the help of YouTube how to put my handles on onto our viral love mugs. Let's set this up and see what we can do. You will see a little bit of our studio here. I always set myself up the same way. I'm a very analytical human. So we're gonna do a little bit of water in a cup. We're going to do a little mug here with my handle set up. I have plenty of mugs here that didn't make the cut, didn't make the store shelf. And we have a sink here where we recycle all of our water. We're gonna put a little bit of water in this tumbler. That shall be good. We're going to set up a little bit of a foam and some OR towels, since I am a nurse by day and potter by night. We'll set this up the way we normally do. A little knife. I actually learned to cut it with a knife. Recently I discovered it's much easier to cut it to actually fit the mug. Let's see what we do here. So we'll pick a mug. And we will pick a random handle here. These are both letter dry, and I just use basically my own idea of, oh, how am I gonna do this? Let's see what we can do for setup. This may be good. We clipped it onto the shelf. And so basically what I do is I use my own idea of aesthetics and how I want my mugs to look like as a final product. I basically place it over the handle and play with what would that look like. And to get a better idea, you can pretty much see what the finished mug will look like, right? And so let's set this up again. I'm sorry about this. I'm gonna be learning with you guys. I'm gonna be learning how to do videos, and you'll be learning how I do pottery. I don't want it necessarily too close to the rim, because it will pull, it will distort your mug, or it can. And so I, as a rule, don't. And I just kind of mark it where it needs to go, and then I figure out how that handle is going to be on the bottom. They can all be different. It's not necessarily rocket science. And then I will cut this guy with a knife, and then I will actually just shorten this handle that Heike pulled for me. And I was gonna cut it with a knife, just like so. However, if you do, let's take a look. We'll cut it in a different spot here. And if you do, you may see that it doesn't necessarily fit the mug. And so here's your latest hack that I have discovered. And I take my little, similar cookie cutter here, and I actually cut it with a cookie cutter. There we go. This way, it will actually have a much better fit for the mug. Let's see how we do it here. I always do it the same way. Oh, what we forgot? We forgot our mud, our slip. Not much left here. This is Oregon Brown Smooth. I drive all the way down to Puyallup to Clay Art Center. Wonderful, wonderful people. And I love this here Goodwill chair that I've had for many years. I looked the mug over just to make sure there's no imperfections. If there was somewhere, I could try to camouflage them with the handle a little bit. Oh, hard stop here. I forgot to stamp it. So let's see if we can just put our stamp on it. I do have a 3D printer. I printed myself a little HT Pottery Studio logo. We're gonna line it up on a little stick and make sure that our customers know that this is our mug. Now that is out of the way, we can put this away, and this is the way we're gonna do it. I wet these. I usually take a dirty, kind of a used up OR towel rag from by the sink where I keep the ones that need to be washed. We wash them in our dirty water first, and then I'm not sure if you can see. Let's take a look really quick. I just kind of put it in my lap, and I put the handle sort of where I want it. I take a needle tool and very gently I mark it, and I mark where it's going to be attached on the bottom. I flip the handle and I score, and I am a generous scorer. When I took my first pottery lessons, one of my teachers was telling me that they've never met anyone who overscored, and so that's kind of my thing. We'll take a little bit of Oregon Brown slip, apply it with the brush. I'm not necessarily sure why I do it with the brush. That's the way I do it. I developed my own system. You may disagree with me, you may have a better system. This may be entirely wrong. That's how I'm doing it. Now I will score the mug. Score it pretty generously, but of course be careful. And then here I can very much match the handle shape. And if you see, I put my thumb in here so I don't go over. I can score. I do believe it's good practice to put glue on both sides of the mug, so that's what we will do. And there we have it. A little bit. Okay. And then we will just take the handle. A little tip here for the people who are new to pottery and wonder if certain things you have to do or don't have to do. You don't have to do anything. You can develop entirely your own system, but I would absolutely recommend you cut your nails frequently, because inadvertently this beautifully trimmed, flawless mug, you will somehow, it's amazing how much power you put in your movements, despite not wanting to. You will nick it somewhere and you're not necessarily going to be happy. So I apply the handle, I wiggle slightly, make sure it has a good connection, support this with my finger here, make sure it's not out of round. It's really important to have it at the right level of dryness. If you don't, you can still do it. However, you may not be happy with the process or with the results because it's just not the same. And I take my brush. I have my favorite cheap Amazon brushes here, and some of them I use for specific purposes like waxing. Some of them I have these two. This one I always use for applying slip. This one I always use for cleaning up, and I just wipe it on an oil towel. Sometimes I dip it in water, clean it up a little bit, just get rid of the excess here. And sometimes I push a little bit harder and I smooth it out, blend it in, make it nice and beautiful. We will see what the result is going to be here. There. And then with the mug, give it a little there, and then one on top. Boom. And it looks a little chunky, so we're gonna clean this up just a little bit more. And technically speaking, this could go on a drying rack and it would then be ready to get bone dry, and it would go into bisque fire. However, since this is our studio here and we are making a very specific product which we developed in-house ourselves, we are going to move this camera a little bit. Hopefully you don't get sick. You see I have a hat on. As a proper potter, I neglect myself quite a bit. I'm in need of a terrible haircut. I'm very insecure about it. So I put on a hat so I can put on this video, because I've been just putting it off. Where do we have, oh, here is where we keep our hearts. Let's take a look. We will crack it open, and since this is a Oregon brown smooth mug, we're going to pick Oregon white heart that is perhaps a little bit more London, a little bit more dry. It's still leather hard, but it is maybe a little bit harder than the mug itself, because they've been sitting in that container for a little bit. And I take it, and I am crazy about ergonomics, and this is where I usually nick my mug with my nail. I play with the placement so that it is feeling really good in your hand, and we will mark it ever so slightly. And let's score this bad boy plenty so our hearts do not fall off. Let's score the heck out of this tiny little beautiful heart, and let's apply some slip. And like I said, you can cheat, you can do it on, you can put a lot of slip on here then press it on, and I do. However, since I'm making the video, we're gonna do it the way I want to do it myself, which is really kind of put the slip in the grooves of your scoring, and then again we're gonna support it, and we're gonna wiggle it to make sure there's a good connection. I will verify that it's gonna be very, very pleasant to hold this mug. Oh yeah. And then let's make sure we clean our brush, and as you can, I don't know if you can see here, we're just going to clean the rest of the slip right off. And sometimes I just kind of turn as I go. There we go. When it comes out of bisque, it will be sanded to make sure there's no rough edges or anything, and so most definitely it will get these little speckles off of it. So this is what one of our love mugs is going to look like. We will then set it in our, let me set it on a stool here first. What is this black line here? That must be my lighting in the studio. And we made ourselves a little drying rack here. Wow, that is annoying. We have just a little bit of an old, or actually brand new, but this shower curtain was just too heavy duty for our shower here. And let's take a look at some of these these will hit the shop today. Oh God, I'm gonna have to change the settings on a GoPro here. Oh, a couple of lefties. I don't know that you guys are gonna be able to watch it with this black streak. And so normally I would put it in a drying station. However, Heike's at work, and when she comes home, she does enjoy carving quite a bit. So I will put it in a bin over here that we'll put a lid on, and when she gets home, she'll carve them. Let's take a look if we can show you a little bit. This is one of her creations here, and I think it looks absolutely gorgeous when it comes out of the kiln. Look at this. I mean, it's amazing how long it actually takes to make a mug, versus if you just want to make a mug and dip it in glaze, that's one thing. If you carve it, and if you do like a double or triple glaze, it's a tremendous amount of time. And then to just sell them for $36 a piece with free shipping seems like sacrilege. But you have to start somewhere. Our Etsy shop is brand new, and so that's the way we decided to do it, and we will see where it leads us. I'm gonna show you around the studio maybe a little bit before I let you go. I see I have 18% on my GoPro. So we have a couple of universal racks here. This is some bisqueware that is ready to be glazed. These are mugs that I pulled out of the kiln last night, and they will be photographed over here in our little photo booth. I do like to photograph them outside, however today is not necessarily the best weather for it. This is Heike's carving station over here, and that's where she puts the mugs after she carves them. Here is my wedging station. Things changed over time quite a bit. Sometimes when I wedge smaller amounts of clay, I have just a little 2x4 board. My hands are quite big, and it's really hard to wedge 450 grams or a pound. And so it's easier for me to do it on a wedging 2x4. I haven't seen it before. Maybe it exists. I just did that for myself. Then here is our studio heating and air conditioning. Here is music. It is not playing. I didn't know what YouTube will allow me to do. Like I said, I'll be learning pretty much with you. I don't necessarily need my account to be suspended. Here is some glazes, more glazes. We store clay here, rags. Here is a glazing sink where we reuse the water. And this is probably about it for today. I suspect this is going to be way too long and way too disorganized, but this is what we have. Thank you very much for watching. Like I said, my first video. Please bear with me. Hopefully it's gonna get better. Thank you so much, and you guys have a good day.